Hey, this is Dave with Equity Real Estate, going live at Academy Mortgage here in Layton. You can see the stuff right behind. So I'm here with Matt Wright. And Matt, you can come up here now. I can't see you yet. This is Matt's real first time Facebook Live.
Not a big fan, but I'll try it.
We're going to do a question and answer time for you. So those that are jumping on, feel free to ask questions. Matt is a lender with Academy Mortgage, like I said, here in Layton. And there's a lot of people on my Facebook group that's first-time home buyers, never bought a home before, thinking of possibly buying a home. So if you have any questions about what you can do to better your credit or your score for buying a home, or now my mind just went blank. What's the process of buying a home? What types of loans are there out there that would benefit you? So I'm going to turn the time over to Matt. He's going to come over here, talk a few things. And in the meantime, feel free to make a comment below, ask some questions, and I'll I'll share those questions to Matt and ask him the questions, and then he'll answer. So feel free to ask any questions you like to do with home buying.
All right. So Dave, tell me real quick. Can you see this well enough on live?
Yeah, it's
okay.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. All right.
Let's see if I can biggie it at all. No, that's all it is.
That's all it is.
Let's see if I can
get a little closer. Is that a little better?
No, that's about it.
Okay. I'm going to just talk about 10 steps. So if there's any questions going on, please, Dave, yell at me, let me know. But we're going to go over 10 steps for home ownership. So 10 steps that we're going to go over. 1, loan pre-qualification. 2, home search. 3, formal loan application and product selection. 4, we'll talk about appraisal and home inspection, the differences there. Talk about price, processor and underwriting reviews, and then we'll talk about final loan approvals, closing, funding, close of escrow, and then the confirmation of recording. So if there's anybody that has any questions, jump in and let us know. So first thing real quick that we'll go over. 1, pre-qualification. Basically, when you're getting pre-qualified, we're going to go over 3 main things. 1, we're going to go over your credit. We're going to go over your income. We're going to go over your assets. Reason why we wanted to go over these things, obviously, is getting a loan with your credit. We want to know what your score is, where you stand. We also want to know what your debt history is, so we can look at everything and see if you're going to be in a good position to buy. Your income obviously is a big portion of qualifying for a home as well. We need to know what your history is. We need to know what your income is, so we can determine how much of a home you qualify for. And then your assets. That's something we're going to take a look at. Know how much of a down payment you have, if you need any reserves, if you're going to be paying for closing costs. Those are things that we're going to take a look at as well.
Are your plugs turned off here by chance?
I don't know if they are. If you need something here,
Sorry, technical difficulties. My battery's just about to die.
All right, you want to pause it and do it again?
We can't pause it.
Oh, well, give me.
Keep talking. I'll get it figured out.
Here. This thing is turned on, Dave. Unplug it. Plug it in here.
Okay.
And you can slide a little closer if you want to. Is that working?
Almost. Okay.
Nice.
Did we fix those technical difficulties? Yep, we did.
Okay. That's still showing there?
Yep.
All right. A few things to do and not to do. 1, call us. When you're wanting to get pre-qualified, let us know that you're interested and that you do want to get a loan. Also, keep living in your current residence. Whether you're renting, paying a mortgage, continue doing that. Also, continue to use your credit as normal. You don't do anything drastic, don't change anything major. One of the big things that you need to do is keep working. We've worked with a few people where occasionally they will switch jobs in the middle of the process. That's not the best idea. What you want to do is keep working Don't switch jobs. If you do switch jobs, there's a chance you might have to wait an additional 30 days before you can get into a home. Keep your same insurance. Stay current on all your existing accounts, and expect requests from us, meaning we'll probably ask for additional documentation from you. A few things not to do. Don't make any major purchases. What that will do is screw up your debts. Things that you are paying for will screw up your debt to income. So if you go out and buy a new car and add a $300 car payment, that's probably going to screw up your debt to income ratio and make it so you don't qualify for as much. So be smart. Don't make any major purchases. Also, don't change any bank accounts or make any large deposits. Don't be doing any large transfers. Don't close any of your credit card accounts.
Hang on, this switched. How do I switch this back?
Is it looking right?
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. How long was it like that?
Just a couple seconds.
Okay. So let me reiterate the don'ts when you're purchasing a home. Again, don't make any major purchases. Like, don't go and buy a new car. Don't go to R.C. Willey and buy some major furniture for your new home until you actually get into it. Don't change bank accounts. Don't make any large deposits. Don't transfer any of your balances. Don't close any of your credit card accounts. There's a lot of things that you shouldn't be doing. And so if you have questions, let me know, and I'll let you know if that's something you can or can't do. Next step, working with an agent. Dave, working with him. He'll, once you're pre-qualified, we'll send you back to Dave, and you go out and start looking for a home. We'll send a pre-qualification letter or a pre-approval letter, depending on how much documentation you've sent us, to Dave, so that way you can be in a good negotiating position.
What's the difference between a pre-qualification letter and a pre-approval letter?
So for me, the pre-qualification is really if I'm talking to you over the phone and I'm able to pull your credit, take a look at your income with what you tell me over the phone, your assets, and basically I do everything with you over the phone and get you pre-qualified, then you're pre-qualified. A pre-approval is when you actually send me all your documentation. I put it in my system, I run it through our automated underwriting, see if you're approved. That's really a pre-approval, is where we take a look at all of your income documentation to make sure you're ready to go and have a real pre-approval. Pre-qualification is just based off of basically what you're telling us over the phone. We take your word for it, make sure you're in a good position that way.
So which one is a better position when you're putting an offer in on a home?
You'd be much better if you're in have a pre-approval.
Turning in all the documentation.
Turning in all your documentation. Re-request all your documentation. We want that up front. The reason that puts you into a better negotiating position is if we send a pre-approval and somebody, another agent's looking at that and they've got a pre-qualification or a pre-approval letter, you're in a better position if you've got a pre-approval because they know that you've actually gone through some of the steps and gone through more of the pre-approval, pre-qualification process. You're ready to go, basically. So, anyway, back to the next step, though. After you've been pre-qualified / pre-approved, we send you back to Dave, where he can go out and help you look for a home, start to put an offer in once you find your perfect home. One of the great things, obviously, having Dave is he's going to put you in a good position to get into a good home. He's going to negotiate for you, and he's going to have your best interest. He does it full time. This is his job, and he's terrific at it. Anyway, formal application. This kind of intertwines with the pre-approval and the pre-qualification. On here, when you have the full loan applications, we're going to ask for your documentation, and that's where we're going to ask for your pay stubs. We're going to ask for your W-2s and your tax returns for the past 2 years. We're going to know where you've lived for the past 2 years, where you've worked for the past 2 years. We're going to want to get bank statements for the past 2 months. So this is just some of the documentation that we're going to request from you at the very beginning. And depending on your loan, we might request additional documentation, whether you're going to be doing an FHA, a VA, a rural housing. Depending on the loan that you're doing, we could ask for additional documentation. Some of the loan types out there, here's some of the 6 loan types that we do take care of. A conventional loan, that's I'd say probably about 25% of the business I do is conventional mortgages. VA loans, that might be another 25% of the loans I do. FHA loans, also 25%, and then for me the other 25% would probably be the state housing loans. Those would be like Utah housing. I don't do any renovation loans, and I rarely do any of the USDA home loans. Those are rural housing loans, but if you're looking in a rural area, that is something we do offer and do.
For first-time home buyers, what's the best loan to do, and what's the best for cash back or cash down and those types of things?
So that's a tough question to answer without knowing that individual and what's best for them. Because when I meet with them, I want to sit down and go over their finances. I want to find out what's best for them, and then I'd be able to answer that. But for a first-time home buyer who's wanting to do 100% financing, a Utah housing loan is a very good option. If they're a veteran and are eligible for VA, the VA is another great option as well. But until I actually know their whole scenario and situation, it's hard to answer that. But there's plenty of options out there. I mean, just here we've got 6 different loan types, and in those loan types, there are different options as well. So depending on what their long-term goals are, what their present situation is, it's hard to answer that.
If somebody doesn't have any money down, can they buy a home still?
Absolutely. We do it all the time. 100% financing is definitely an option that most people do. And you don't even have to be a first-time home buyer to do 100% financing as well. It just depends on your situation again.
What would be the credit score for something like that if I'm trying to get a home, possibly get into a home?
So depending on the loan program again, different programs have different score requirements. Some programs you can go down to 580, some you can go to 620, some 640. Again, it's just dependent upon the individual and the loan program that's going to be best for them.
Cool.
All right, step 4, you need to get a home inspection, and you also need to get an appraisal. Well, I better be careful. The home inspection, Dave, I'm going to let you answer that. How is that a needed thing?
I guess I can jump on camera here. A home inspection is it's necessary but not, what's the word? Required. So a home inspection, what that is you hire a home inspector, and that could be somebody that I use or a friend that you know that is a licensed inspector, and they go in and find the hidden things that you can't see when you're going through a home for the first time. They'll come by after you're under contract, and they will find the electrical problems, any plumbing problems, if there's not enough insulation, if there's cracks in the foundation, that type of thing. And so that just gives you a little bit more information about the home that you may or may not know that would help decide if you're going to go through on that purchase. And now I'll turn the time back over to Matt on the appraisal.
All right, so appraisal though, an appraisal is required in order to get a home loan. We need to know what the value of the home is, so when we're lending money, you've got the collateral in place and we know that the value is there. So an appraisal is something that is needed. So once you get a home and you've made an offer, ordering an appraisal, that's one of the very first things we like to get ordered, so that way we can meet your deadlines, make sure you're closing on time. Step 5, things that we talk about is the underwriter's review. Once we've got all the documentation in, your home's under contract, and we've processed a lot of loan, we're going to turn your file into an underwriter. And they're going to be looking at 3 major things. 1, your ability to repay the loan. 2, your willingness to repay the loan. And 3, the collateral. So basically they're looking at you, what your employment is, what your income is, what your estimated mortgage payment's going to be compared to what your income and debt is. And then your willingness to repay the loan, that's where we're basically looking at your previous loans, your rent, your utilities, things that you have paid in the past and how good you've been in the past, making sure you're in a good position to get the home loan. And then the collateral, that's basically the home, making sure that the home is in the condition that is needed to be able to lend money on it. Final approval, that's something, again, with the underwriter, after all the conditions have been met, an underwriter can sign off on your loan saying you're good to go. Once your loan is good to go, we'll send it over to our closing department. They'll help get a closing disclosure ready to send out to you. You'll look at that closing disclosure, and you'll have 3 days after you've seen the closing disclosure Once you've viewed the closing disclosure, then we are in a position to send out documents, your loan documents that you can sign at closing.
What exactly is the closing disclosure? What does that benefit me?
So the closing disclosure is basically your loan, and it's summarizing your loan. Basically all the fees that are involved in there, what your payment is, gives you a breakdown so you can look at it before closing. Ideally, those are things that you should be aware of in advance of what's going on, and I'll let you know throughout the process what your payment is. If your loan amount changes depending on your down payment, or if there's anything, we'll go over that. But the closing disclosure is basically your final numbers, gives you a chance to look at it before you go in and sign your official loan documents at closing. At closing, you generally will go to a title company where they will do the closing. Title company is there to do a title search on your property. They issue a policy, a title insurance policy. They will help adjust any taxes that are between the seller and the buyer. They also help to provide the closing disclosure as well to make sure all the numbers are accurate as well. And then they will record the security documents or any other necessary documents that are needed, and they help with all the distribution as well. They'll help with collecting and dispersing any of the loan proceeds as well.
In the meantime, Matt's go on to the next slide. If those that are watching, if you have any questions, just comment in the comment box, and I will relay the message to Matt if there's any questions.
All right. Thanks, Dave. So, step 8, funding by the lender. Basically, once all the requirements have been met, once all the documents have been signed, title sends everything back to us, and we have everything in order, we will go ahead and fund the loan. What that means is we will send a wire out. We'll send the money for your loan to the escrow department, and then they will disperse those funds to where everything needs to go. And that would be step 9, the close of escrow. And then finally, last step, confirmation of recording. This is where the title company will record. They'll record the security instruments and the warranty deed, and the property then will officially be transferred from the seller to you, the buyer. And that is the final step. So ultimately, that's the 10 steps to home ownership. I know I probably spoke really quickly because this is my first time really doing a Facebook Live, and I don't even know what I look like right now, but Dave, thank you for throwing me in and having me do this.
Matt will be able to see himself because it'll be on Facebook from now on.
Oh, great.
So, but I want to thank Matt for doing this Facebook Live and answering basically the whole process of buying a home. It seems really easy in our mind, but on the other side, it's overwhelming for most home buyers, and that's why we come into play to make sure everything is taken care of for you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to comment in the box, or you can send me a message, text me if you got my number. You can send Matt a message, or I can get you in touch with Matt. And if you're looking to buy a home, right now is the best time. Rates, even though they rose at the beginning of the year, they're still pretty good. And it's a real good time to buy. Rates are still low, and buy before home prices go even any higher. Let's get you some free equity in the home. So again, Dave Vance with Equity Real Estate, and
Matthew Wright with Academy Mortgage.
Have a great time, you guys.
Thanks.